Excellent!
We're now live streaming.
Ayo.
We're certainly live streaming. Look, I bet a lot of people have to watch an ad again.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry about that. There's nothing we can do.
Twitch ads suck.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Awesome Hardware. My name is Paul. I'm here with Kyle. This is our weekly live show that we do on Tuesday evenings at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. We broadcast live to twitch.tv/awesomehardware, and then we also upload the stuff to our YouTube channels. So you might be watching this live, or you might be watching this in the future. Either way, thank you for joining us. Yes. And we have several new segments to go and talk about.
Yep.
And if you missed the first half of the show, you can watch it over on Kyle's channel, which is youtube.com/awesomesaucenews.
That's right.
Or you could just search for Awesome Sauce Network.
That works too.
Beautiful.
It was a good first half of the show.
It was a good first half of the show. I think you guys should go watch it. It'll keep you up to speed. Kyle at one point was trying to get me to do something like silly for my half of the show that you guys wouldn't understand because you didn't watch his half of the show.
Go watch the first half and then let us know what you want Paul to do.
Let us know if you think Kyle should just plan his stuff a little bit better so that
Please,
he
where's your sense
has
of adventure?
something lined up. Anyway, typically we enjoy a beverage on the show, although we don't advocate drinking. It's a vice that should be avoided.
Yes.
I'm drinking the sixth glass quadruple ale.
Can you pronounce? Wait, what?
The sixth glass.
Sixth glass.
Quadruple ale.
Is this your sixth glass
of
this drink?
Although this is the last of it, and it is fairly heavy. It's
Pull yourself together, man.
We're sticking with this. Yeah, it's 10.5% alcohol by volume.
Wow.
That's pretty intense.
No shit. No wonder you're slurring your words.
Brewed by Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
It's quite delicious. Kyle is drinking...
And in case you guys were wondering, I'm drinking Clown Shoes Blakehorn Unidragon. I love Clown Shoes for their awesome labels. They have awesome label work, label art and stuff. This is a Russian Imperial Stout, and it is... Oh, I beat you.
What?
Mine has 12.5% alcohol. This could be a wine. Mother of God.
That is... Wait, what?
12.5%.
That's like wine status.
Jesus. So, yeah, this is pretty intense, and I'm getting down to the bottom of the barrel here, so... but delicious beer. Clown Shoes rocks. Sponsorship.
Nice. What? What? You're getting paid?
No. Not at all. If they want to pay me in booze, though, I'm cool with that. Are you tweeting right now?
I have to tweet.
This is your segment. You should be hosting it.
I just tweeted that we're on my half of now.
Just carrying your segment right now. All right, guys. So first off, if you guys aren't familiar with the show, I usually end on news when I'm going first. So Paul will start on news. So Paul's first article has to do with AMD, and I don't want to reveal too much because I feel weird trying to present your segment, Paul. I think you should. I think you owe it to your viewers to lead this segment of yours.
I had to make
that's
sure,
on your channel.
I had to make sure that I tweeted stuff, though. You're right.
Okay.
My side of the show typically is about twice as good as Kyle's half of the show. So if any of you guys are not... Oh, wait, that's still your half of the show. So I'm just going to queue up some of these articles here. Really, really fascinating, and incredible things to discuss on this half of the show. And as always, we're always prepared for the second half, too. We typically don't forget that, oh yeah.
I was surprised how quickly, we ended my half of the show, and then you just instantly were like, all right, start streaming my show.
Well...
And I was like, wow.
I didn't want to, get ready or anything. I just wanted to go. It was really for the folks who are watching in the live stream.
We're freestyling.
I know people have a short attention span, so we want to make sure that we have constant things going on.
Constant content.
But I'm going to go over some tech news. We're going to start off with that. Mm-hmm. We also have some Tales from Space, which I always think is fun.
.com.
We've got the always popular Swordfight, which never gets old.
Yeah.
And then I've got to make sure that my space.com articles aren't playing crap because someone told you to put your arm around me.
No. Why do you think that I need someone to prompt me to show any kind of brotherly affection towards you? Why does somebody need to point it out in chat?
That's not something that you normally do.
It? Well,
outside
I'm
of
trying to
the typical
I surprise
range
you.
Of,
I can be surprising.
I'm surprised. Hold on, I'm going to refresh this. Okay.
What do you got here?
But you know what we should start off with?
What?
a lower thirds.
A lower thirds!
Yeah! Look at that.
Yes!
Look at that.
Why don't you explain to your viewers, like people who haven't seen my segment yet?
You see, anyone watching this show, we segment the show to make it more palatable. We have bite-sized segments. We typically do 4 segments each show, and now, to make things even more clearly defined for everyone out there watching, we have lower thirds.
That's right.
Like this one right here.
That's right, that I made.
Which says news.
I made that.
Meaning we're about to discuss some tech news.
I put that CPU there.
Kyle put that together. Really, really, really proud of his work there. Mm-hmm. And I have some good news actually to start with too.
Oh, I like good news.
Some good news. It's on the AMD side.
Good news is fun.
We were talking last week actually about like that we need AMD. We need AMD around. Did we talk about that last week? I don't know if we did. No? Maybe that was on the Alt-Tab show.
Probably.
All right, so AMD, what they've come out and done is they've published their 2015 to 2020 roadmaps.
Oh.
Yeah, roadmaps. So it's
pretty ballsy.
It describes exactly where they are going.
That's very ballsy.
Where they are headed. And you know what I should do is have the show doc open so that I can look at my notes and sound halfway intelligent. All right.
You got this.
First thing to point out, this was actually shown at the PC Cluster Consortium in Osaka, Japan, which just sounds kind of ominous. Were you aware that there was a PC Cluster Consortium?
Consortium? What is consortium?
Consortium is a grouping of like it's like a conglomerate.
Okay. Consortium. That's a new one.
It's like a group of businesses that have all agreed to work together.
Sounds like a really terrible surgery.
All right. So what AMD was talking about here, and there's some slides to go along with this, and I'll be showing these. This article's from overclock3d.net, by the way. So they have talked about their upcoming GPU and CPU lineups, right?
Yep.
Including details on their Fire Pro GPUs, and there's also a future APU that AMD is working on with a 200 to 300 watt TDP. Yeah. 200 to 300 watt.
Why?
Why?
Because it kicks ass?
Because APUs are the future. That's why.
Shut up, Paul! I like my discrete graphics cards!
So they were demonstrating the Fire Pro S9150 here versus the Tesla K40.
Okay.
They must have missed the memo that NVIDIA has released a Tesla K50, but that's cool. Showing that it's better and faster and all those good things, right?
Yep.
But check this out. Look. AMD has plans for the next 10 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not impressed by that? That they have a 10-year plan going forward? Never mind that this actual chart only goes up to 2020. We're talking 10 years here.
I don't have a 10-hour plan.
That's good. It's good that AMD has plans for the future. Now, to my mind, I mean, like, plans for the future, that's cool. Right?
Sure.
Did you just drink my beer?
No!
Okay.
I swear to God. Are you tripping?
No, I'm not.
What'd you put in that beer before we started the show?
I turned back and just the way you were behaving made me think
you can go back and watch the episode later.
No, I believe you. I believe you. I don't really believe that. All right.
Jeez.
But what we can learn from this 10-year plan that AMD has been talking about is that they have upcoming GPUs and CPUs, that they have a plan. I guess that's really what they're talking about. Now, here's the thing. If you guys are here and you're interested in talk of AMD's actual new stuff that they're supposed to be coming out with soon, which would be the R9 300 series,
right?
390, 390X is the ones we've heard and confirmed.
The only ones we care about, really. They're the only ones
they also have a new CPU architecture that they've been working on for a while called Zen.
Zen?
Zen.
That's the name of my cat.
None of that information was talked about at this particular thing.
Okay. Is that the 320 TDP watt? 320 watt
no.
TDP?
No. The idea for the 320 watt TDP APU is that they're basically going to be taking their Hawaii GPU architecture and integrating it onto an APU.
Oh, so you basically have like a 290X without a dedicated graphics.
Like and just to give you like a comparison, their current APUs give you like 6 GPU compute cores or something like that, whereas Hawaii, if you're looking at the actual discrete GPU, has something like 44 of what they would call GPU compute cores.
Okay.
So you can see that the APUs currently have been pretty severely,
stifled a bit.
They're good. When it comes to integrated an integrated graphics on a part of a processor, they're really good. They kick the crap out of Intel.
And graphics, you're talking almost like going from a full desktop dedicated graphics card to mobile graphics.
Exactly.
In a way, yeah.
So the idea here with this mega APU potentially that's kind of speculating is that in the past, AMD's APUs have been bottlenecked by the memory bandwidth because whenever you're talking about an integrated GPU, there's no memory available there.
Right.
And the integrated GPU has to use the system memory to buffer the stuff, textures, and everything to use for the internal GPU.
Right.
But what they're talking about possibly now is combining HBM or high bandwidth memory, or for on the GPU side.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like this, what they're talking about, what they might be coming out with the 390, 390X.
This is for APUs you're talking about?
Yeah, but on the APU side.
Okay.
And then also combining that with DDR4 memory on the CPU side. So like a crazy AMD APU with like a 250 watt TDP, which is going to need like a lot of cooling.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a 240 millimeter all-in-one
at least
loop or something like that, or a massive copper fin radiator on that.
Right.
But if the GPU, let's because right now if you're looking at iGPU performance, you're on the AMD side, you're gonna get the equivalent of say an $80 to $150 discrete graphics card, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah. And
what APU you're talking about. But if you could buy this, and all you have is that one APU on there, and you can cool it, you're gonna need a lot of cooling, but you can cool it well. But then you get the more like the equivalent of a $200 GPU on there, which $200 to $250 is the kind of the wheelhouse for a lot of people buying desktop graphics.
Yeah.
Then maybe you have a much more compelling part there.
It depends how much they're charging for it too.
Depends how much they're charging.
If you're saving
a
shit ton more getting an APU over getting a $200 discrete card, and you're getting the same performance, then we're talking. Now we're talking. But if not, then there's obviously a niche scenario that has to happen in order for that to be better than a discrete card solution.
Mm-hmm. So, but when you're talking about the possibility of buying an all-in-one like a system that's all kind of self-contained, does everything you need, doesn't need a discrete graphics card, and it can actually game reasonably well. Because if they're talking about actually integrating Hawaii class GPU cores onto something like this, then the amount of performance you're going to get there compared to say like an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 is going to be amazing. I mean, it's going to be a huge leap over something like that.
Right.
So that seems like an interesting proposition to me. It would definitely be something, if it were priced right, it would be something that I could easily recommend to people. If you're looking to build a more budget-oriented system, I mean, if you can build a $500 system with one of these APUs all together, and it's like going to smack the crap out of a current generation console, like that's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
And
I think it's more compelling for form factor, not needing the space in your case or chassis or whatever you're using for a discrete card. So having like a really small portable system that can still drive games, because right now AMD is like obviously ahead of the game in terms of APU performance, but it's still nowhere near to the point where you could almost like say like, this is good enough for like a little LAN gaming rig.
Yeah.
It's just like it's convenient when I need it, for certain emergencies almost, but only until now does it sound promising enough in terms of performance where I could actually use this as a gaming rig without having a discrete card.
Yes.
So.
And then when it comes to the like, let's say like users like us and like maybe you guys, if you watch the show, who are probably a little bit more into like DIY PC and build your own PCs and stuff and PC gaming, is also the possibility that this could easily work as like, if you're talking about an HTPC or something and you have another system somewhere in the house streaming of games to something like this, could also be a possibility. Sure. Although granted, you can do game streaming with a much more lightweight implementation than something like this might be.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. It's like, all right, so we can narrow down the form factor a bit, right? We can get a pretty powerful system out of Mini ITX, but at the same time, since there's such a high TDP, that also introduces things like, well, now I kind of need a beefier power supply. So if I'm talking about like a really small form factor system where it's like, oh yeah, cool, that only supports SFX power supplies, for example. Now I got to fork out additional money to actually get an SFX power supply that delivers 550, 600 watts.
Oh, but with something like this, if they're talking max 300 watt TDP for the GPU,
if you get an efficient
you're 500, you're going to be fine with any 500 watt power supply. Like,
True.
There's not enough extra stuff going on in a system without a discrete graphics card.
Another consideration that you just reminded me of is there any kind of unlockable functionality here? Or are we
like overclocking?
Overclock it, like both CPU and GPU? Because that'll definitely drive up TDP.
I mean, I like that possibility. I like the idea because, like, for the longest time, iGPUs, like, especially if you're talking about like when they were integrated onto the motherboard before they were integrated onto the CPU, like they always got a bum rap. Like everyone was always like, "Oh, sure, you can like use it for a display as long as you're doing 2D stuff and video playback," but no one ever wants to game on one. Gaming has come a long ways, especially if you look at the AMD APUs. But if they actually came out with something that was compelling enough, like, that'd be kind of cool to see, you know, AMD's top-of-the-line APU with reasonably good graphics card with, like, some crazy, you know, like a nice water cooling loop to overclock it to, like, you know, 20, 30% over what the base frequency is. And then, you know, something like that might be kind of cool.
Right.
Makes me at least a little bit more excited for the possibility of APUs and integrated GPUs.
Yeah.
But it also makes me happy to see that AMD has at least a 2015 to 2020 roadmap going on. Again, this is one of those things like, hey, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
They need to do it first. And again, the fact that there was nothing on the R9 300 series GPUs or the Zen CPU architecture at this particular thing when they're talking about their roadmap coming up soon makes me take it with a bit larger grain of salt, I suppose.
Yep.
But anyway, that's my first tech news story.
Cool.
Fantastic. What's next, Kyle?
Next is Microsoft announces its Surface 3.
Indubitably.
This is a tablet, right?
The Surface 3.
$500, launches May 5th.
Look at this.
I personally hate all Windows tablets.
Really?
I hate them.
But look at it, Kyle.
I hate it.
Look how sexy it is.
I hate their commercials. I hate their marketing. I hate Windows tablets with a passion. They've never worked well for me. I've messed around with like 5 or 6 different Windows tablets in my lifetime, and they've all sucked. I could never do what I wanted to do on them efficiently or easily. They always cause problems. Granted, I never had like the top of the line Surface in my hands. It was always like, you know, something less. You invariably less flagship, but
all tablets.
No, Windows tablets.
All Windows tablets.
Windows tablets.
Okay, so all the Windows tablets.
All Windows tablets I've ever used have sucked royally.
Have you tried the Surface 3 Pro?
I don't think I've tried that one.
There's your problem.
So what about the Surface 3 Pro allows it to not suck so badly like every other Windows tablet?
I don't know. I haven't tried it either.
I thought you were going to give me some compelling argument.
I was going to
after spending 3 weeks with it in Africa.
Explaining exactly what caused all that. No.
Okay. Well, Windows 10. We're talking about Windows 10 here, right? So
no, we're not.
Okay. Well, then fuck it.
This is the Microsoft Surface 3
I don't give a
that
shit.
we're talking about right here. Okay. When the Microsoft Surface came out and the Surface 2 came out, and Microsoft was dabbling all around with their Windows RT stuff and their like ARM version of the operating system and their non-ARM version of the operating system and all that stuff, it was like a big old mess. It was a freaking mess.
Right.
It wasn't until the Surface 3 Pro came out that suddenly a bunch of people were like, hey, Microsoft actually has a good product here. Right? Because Microsoft hadn't even really been in the manufacturing of hardware game until the Surface.
Right.
And a lot of people were very skeptical of them when they came out with the Surface or said that they were developing the Surface because they were like, Microsoft, you're a software company. But the Surface 3 Pro was good. Is acknowledged by many reputable...
It makes sense that the Surface 3 Pro would blow anything else out of the water because you're having Microsoft handle both the software and the hardware requirements, as opposed to like someone like ASUS or Lenovo, who would pretty much design their own hardware and then implement the Windows software.
ASUS would say, we're a hardware company, we develop hardware, and we develop hardware that's ideally suited to complement your software that you develop.
Yeah.
And Microsoft, you shouldn't be bothering with this hardware game because all you're going to do is piss off people like ASUS and other hardware manufacturers.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. But all that aside, the Surface 3 Pro was a good product. Okay. I'm confident saying that, and I'm confident even saying that having never actually used it myself.
Okay.
Simply from reading many reviews online over the period of the last year-ish since it came out.
Okay.
Because a lot of people said, hey, this was a good product.
Okay.
So the things that made it good were the fact that it was portable.
Yep.
It was a tablet design, which meant that it was tablety and you could have your touch interface and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, it was full x86, Windows 8.
Yeah. And
you could run actual applications on it. Right. Actual freaking applications, because that's been a lot of the issue of the mobile Windows operating system is that, it's not established enough, especially if you're on the RT side of it. There's not enough stuff to do with it to make it.
But at what point does it really become a replacement for like a laptop or a desktop? I mean, even if it can run real applications, I mean, even when you're traveling, at what point does it compete with a laptop?
Well,
in terms of like real applications, if you're using real Adobe Premiere or something.
I think you and I and anyone watching this stream would probably say there is no replacement for a desktop computer, because if you're trying to do something like productivity or video editing or anything like that, then you're not going to replace a desktop. You're not going to get the same experience. But you could use something like a Surface 3 to remote into your desktop back home and use a remote computing experience using a wide variety. I mean, there's a bunch of different software solutions for that. But this segment or this little thing is about the Surface 3 Pro.
You have a lot of specs here about it, so let's just talk about this stupid thing.
I'm sorry, this is the Surface 3 also, not the Pro.
Right.
Not the Pro. The Pro's been out for a while.
Yeah.
So $500 first of all.
Okay.
For a tablet / actual computer. And normally I don't like mobile devices.
Does it come with the nice little flat keyboard?
Sorry.
I hate that.
That's how they keep the price down.
That's stupid.
Okay.
That's stupid.
So it's available in 64 gig and 120 gig configurations. It's all solid state storage, so that's how much storage you get. It has a 10.8 inch 214 ppi 10-point multi-touch screen. One of the nice upgrades for this particular version is that they've gone from a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is a little bit wider and more cinematic, but not as practical for a tablet, to a 1920x1280 3:2 aspect ratio, which is much similar to the Apple tablets, the iPads.
1920 by
1280, not 1080.
Okay.
So it's 3:2.
Okay.
Aspect ratio, which is something that a lot of people have asked for, and it's actually something that you wouldn't immediately assume.
Right.
But when you use tablets for a while, like the widescreen tablet design, like 16:9 is awkward. It's weird.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's not as normal.
Because it's so close to you, and a widescreen kind of it jolts your peripheral vision. It demands too much of your peripheral vision.
Exactly. So 10.8 inch, 214 ppi, 10-point multi-touch screen, 1920x1280. The processor is a quad-core Intel Atom X7Z 8700 1.6 gigahertz. I'll just fire off some of these specs for you guys.
Let's hear it.
It comes with either 2 or 4 gigs of RAM, depending on the version you get. It's got 802.11 AC with Bluetooth 4.0.
Okay.
It comes with Windows 8.1, full x86 version, not RT, which means that any Windows 7, Windows 8 software programs will just run on it natively. Okay. And that, honestly, is one of the hugest things about this, and that's one of the things that made the Surface 3 Pro, or Pro 3, so popular. Okay, you're going to get Windows 10. They've already advertised this. When Windows 10 launches, you'll get that automatically.
Sure.
It's got a front-facing 3.5 megapixel camera and a standard 8 megapixel 1080 rear-facing camera with autofocus.
Okay.
Connectivity, you get one USB 3.0 port, one mini display port connector, and then a micro USB card reader. It's got a headphone jack, and it charges via micro USB. So you don't need fancy connectors. You can use your standard USB connectors to charge it up.
Nice.
10 hours of video playback battery life,
nice.
Which is quite good. And some of the early reviews I've been reading on it said battery life on this is fantastic.
Nice. So it's out already? This is out?
Well, it launched today or yesterday, I think, was when
okay.
all the articles and reviews and stuff have come out on. It's only 0.34 inches thick, or 8.7 millimeters, so nice and thin, and it weighs 622 grams, or 1.37 pounds.
All right.
You get a 1-year subscription to Office 365. It's got a 3-position kickstand. It has pen input available. So here's some of the money saving.
Pimp what?
It's got pimp input.
Pimp input. So
if you're like, where's my money? Surface and slap it.
You just holler at that input.
Yeah, and then it gives you your money.
Cool.
So anyway, it starts at $500 for the 2 gigs of RAM and 64 gig version.
Right.
For $600, you can get 4 gigs and 128 gigs of RAM. And then there's also LTE. So the LTE version for $600, 2 gigs and 64 gigs of RAM, or LTE with 4 gigs and 128 gigs is $700. So $500 to $700 price range.
Okay.
Anyway.
Sweet.
That's enough of running down of specs about the Surface Pro.
Right. Are you gonna get one? Are you gonna get one?
I'm not gonna buy one. I have zero need for this right now. I'd be happy to review it.
Right.
Although I don't know if I have any direct connections at Microsoft. It's available in a variety of colors. You've got to buy the pen and the cover that you guys see in this picture here with the keyboard. You got to buy that separately.
Right.
So those are sold separately. So that's
Here's what I'm thinking. Can you what kind of graphics does this have?
1920 by 1280. Or what do you mean?
No, I mean like graphics chip.
That is not something I have listed specifically. I don't know if there's something in the Xeon. In that there's an Atom X7. I don't know if that's an SoC that has graphics integrated or not.
Okay. Because that would be my only concern. Because like this is what I think. When I go traveling, I always bring my laptop and my tablet. But this seems like it's right on the line between tablet and laptop. Where if I were to brought like a slim keyboard and mouse, I could just connect those to this and technically have like a laptop solution for my workload. But depending on the graphic solution, if I can edit video, if I can edit full 1080 video on this thing using something like Premiere Pro CS6, then I'm sold. Then I will pay the $900 for this thing and not have to bring 2 devices. I can just bring this one. But if it falls short of that graphics capability, then I'm still going to need to bring a laptop on top of this. So
some of the comments in chat, Strider, and reviews by Gary saying it's most likely Intel HD technology or Intel's integrated iGPU stuff that they've had for a while.
All right.
So I did notice though, and I don't know if it's still going to be here towards the top. Look, I'm scrolling through YouTube comments. It's terrible. No, there was a good YouTube comment, but now it's not here anymore. You know how that goes with YouTube comments. Yeah. Oh no, it's right at the top. Never mind. So they're comparing it to the iPad. Granted, if you're looking at hardware specs and comparing an iPad to an app or a Windows device, iPad 16 gigs of storage, proprietary Lightning port, crappy mobile OS. Surface 3, 64 gigs of storage, kickstand, full USB, mini display port, powerful desktop OS with literally millions of compatible programs. Both of them are $500.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. I'd still pick up Surface 3 over an iPad any day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No matter.
Oh no.
Man down.
I lost my wrist.
But can it run Crysis?
Can it run Crysis? Probably not. I mean, maybe on very, very low settings. But anyways, so there's the Surface 3. If you guys are interested in that type of thing, then maybe you're interested in the Surface 3. But let's move on. All right, let's talk about an ASUS video card right here.
All right.
ASUS, this is a WCCF Tech article. That last one was from The Verge, by the way, that we were looking at. ASUS is preparing a gold edition NVIDIA GeForce GTX 980 Matrix graphics card.
What?
Yeah.
That looks yellow.
Who's interested? It's yellow, not gold?
It looks yellow.
All right. The secondary title of this article and why such cards don't make much sense for most gamers.
That's so true.
So
though.
I've seen ASUS kind of teasing some of this. They were posting. I saw this little image here on the ASUS Twitter, I think, which is like, guess the core clock. ASUS 20th anniversary edition. What could the core clock possibly be?
The Chlorcock?
Fortunately, we haven't been drinking at all on this show.
Hashtag clock clock.
How fast do you think it is? They're saying here's the stock clock. Here's the All right, so they have a Matrix Platinum GTX 980 that's at 1342 megahertz out of the box.
Yeah.
So what do you think the 20th anniversary edition GTX 980 will be? Well, if you read this WCCF Tech article,
He just bashes it the whole time.
well, he makes a very compelling point here towards the bottom, which I actually 100% agree with. Who wrote this article, by the way?
Khalid Mohammer.
Khalid Mohammer. Thanks for writing this, Khalid. So I'm just going to read his article here. This is all well and good, but frankly speaking, the established GTX 980 Matrix Platinum already carries a hefty price tag of $639.
Yes.
That's just $60 shy of the R9 295X2.
True.
Which you can get for $700, which is 50% faster on average, and is still the fastest single graphics card, although it has 2 GPUs, on the market. Wait, I've lost my place. $639 is also $90 over the MSRP of a standard 980, which is $550, which is already too expensive compared to the significantly more popular $330 GTX 970, if you ignore that whole 3.5 gigabyte memory buffer thing. There's a number of fantastic custom-cooled GTX 970 options for 330 to 340 right now. The MSI Gaming Gigabyte G1 Gaming, for example, can be overclocked past 1500 megahertz. I can verify this. That is true.
Yes.
Without much effort. So I personally don't see how I justify paying double the price of the 980 Matrix or even 220 more over the GTX 970 cards mentioned above for the standard GTX 980, all to just get 15% more performance improvement.
It's really twice as expensive as a 980 Matrix?
I think he's talking... Is there a 970 Matrix? He must be talking about...
Oh, I'm saying, yeah, okay, you're right.
He must be
talking about
referring to a
price of
970 Matrix, or at least like the highest end 970 you can buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of tend to agree with him here.
I completely agree. There's nothing different or new or exceptional about this card other than the fact that it's gold and that it might match with one of your Z97 ASUS boards.
But if I may.
Sword fight!
If I may, no, we're not to sword fight yet.
Sword fight!
We have a sword fight coming very soon. Stay tuned. If I may, for just a moment, at least play the devil's advocate here. That there are some people who might be interested in this card.
Nope.
It's a niche.
Nope.
But if everything that they're saying about this card is true, then they're binning their top GPUs for this card. So if I am an overclocker, or if I'm a, say, custom system builder, and I like to say, look, I built this custom water-cooled system, and then I overclocked the GPU to X number of megahertz, then perhaps I might be more interested in this card. Because I would expect, based on everything that ASUS is telling us about the card, that it is a very highly binned GPU. And that if they're shipping it at a really high frequency, they're only going to be able to do that if they're taking their top like 2, 3, 5% of GPUs that they've binned and saying these are reserved for this.
So this is only for people who are trying to break world records,
possibly.
Essentially.
Break
or
world
who
records,
have money falling out of their butt.
or maybe like boutique system integrators who like to be able to show off their overclocking capabilities, something like that.
So like
So
the 0.01%.
Again, just playing devil's advocate. But yeah, I get questions actually quite frequently asking me, hey, I'm looking at this 980 or I'm looking at the ultra uber classified super matrix edition.
Oh yeah, I saw
980.
that.
Yeah. I get those questions all the time.
More.
Is it worth the extra $100?
Yeah.
And I usually say no.
No. Yeah.
Because you can take a non-bin one, you can overclock it to probably within 90, 95% of what the bin
close enough
ones
to where
can get.
the premium price you pay is not going to be worth the extra.
It's not going to be worth as much.
Yeah.
So it probably has its place, but it's not the most practical.
It's just ASUS.
According to that article.
ASUS
A
flexing.
couple more tech news things to jump through here.
All right, mate.
If you guys like solid state drives,
I love some solid state drives.
Samsung last year in Q4.
What's that, mate?
Launched their. Oh, that was interesting. I don't know what just happened.
I want Josh on here.
What? Is Josh
Tech
live?
Syndicate Josh.
What? Oh, Aussie Josh.
Yeah.
He's a New Zealander, isn't he?
Yeah, but he sounds Australian. It's the same shit.
They're practically the same.
I just started speaking an Australian accent. I was like, I thought of Josh. I'm like, yeah, we should have Josh on because it's nice to listen to like.
He's in like Ireland or Scotland. He's been banished.
He's been banished.
Yeah. Banished by the U.S. Customs.
Good.
Samsung's 850 EVO M.2 solid-state drive has been reviewed.
Okay.
There's actually several articles on this. I have a Tech Report article from Jeff, who did a great job. I have an Anand's Tech article from Christian, who also did a great job. Nice. And I don't have an article from PC Perspective, so sorry. Sorry, Alan. There's also an article on PC Perspective from Alan, but all of these dropped at the same time, and I only have these two. All right, so basically 850 EVO, if you guys didn't catch any of that nonsense when it launched last year, uses TLC memory, I'm sorry, it uses 3D VNAND memory, so they've stacked memory on top of each other to increase the durability.
Like the normal 2.5 millimeter.
All that good stuff. So I was initially kind of excited when I saw these articles. Actually, a lot of them popped up this morning, but in retrospect, I'm just kind of like, okay. And actually, you can tell when you read the beginning of the articles.
They seem apathetic about it.
Like, hey, when we were reviewing the Samsung 850 EVO last year, we commented on its remarkably compact internals. Although the drive came in a standard 2.5-inch case, as you can see here, the underlying circuit board occupies a fraction of that footprint. It's like super tiny. Yeah. When you actually pop it open.
Right.
So it was only a matter of time before Samsung rolled out miniaturized versions of the design for smaller mSATA and M.2 form factors. Here they are.
Sure.
So now you've got an M.2 one, and you've got an mSATA one.
mSATA.
And the reason I was excited initially when this came was because the M.2 thing, I was like, ooh, is it PCI Express? It's not.
No.
These are using the same controllers. So basically you're getting the same 850 EVO, just in different form factors and different connection types. But it's like still,
at that point, it's like, what?
Yeah, it's still SATA.
I think a lot of manufacturers, like SSD manufacturers, see PCIe M.2 SATA, or I'm sorry, M.2 drives as like enterprise or something. Like,
well,
I don't know why.
It's the same thing we're seeing with USB Type C right now.
Yeah, but Type C. Yeah.
Which is that people are hesitant to roll them out until they feel there's a market out there to buy them.
Yeah, you and me and the people watching this, we are the 1% of the market, and that sometimes I forget that. Like, cater to us.
You should. Exactly.
We'll buy all your products.
So, but yeah, it's got the same functions and features as the 850 EVO. So it's got 3D VNAND.
Okay.
3 bits per cell.
Same shit, different drive.
It's effectively a heavier manufacturing process, so there's got enhanced durability. They use SLC caching mode, so it treats TLC memory cells as SLC in order to cache data for them, which improves the performance.
Every time SLC NAND gets brought up, I think of SLC Punk.
That's a good movie, actually. I watched that movie. All right, so the 850 EVO mSATA goes all the way up to 1 terabyte. The M.2 actually stops at 500 gigs. But again, the M.2 is a SATA drive, not PCI Express. So if you have a motherboard with M.2, double check your motherboard manual, and that should tell you if it's a SATA M.2 or a PCIe M.2, or if it can do both.
And which sizes it accommodates.
Yeah, but in any case, effectively, when it comes to performance on either of these drives, there's not going to be any difference or any performance improvement when it comes to your typical 2.5-inch SATA connected drives, because they're still SATA drives. Yeah. They're just different sizes and shapes of the plugs. Still, though, what I'm waiting to see is Samsung's 3D VNAND, which is supposed to be. We need peanuts. Bring peanuts.
Oh, what do you? What?
That's why I have these here.
What did you say? Don't you what?
You were yawning.
Oh.
Kyle gets bored when I start talking about interesting technology stuff.
I do not.
So I planned ahead today.
Your speech is so riveting. We have carrots. We have carrots.
Carrots. I'm going to try to block the... Alright, so we got peanuts. Alright, there we go.
Look at how I just opened this naturally.
Moving right along, though. Why are you dropping carrots?
I don't know.
Jeez, dude. Come on. Alright, so... The point being is that I'm really waiting for an M.2 version of these drives. I want an M.2 PCI Express 850 EVO. I don't know if they'll still call it the 850, though.
Right.
Because what I'm guessing they're going to do is actually develop a new controller for this. when they switch over to M.2. But Samsung, please, 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 if you're watching, if anyone from Samsung is listening and can hear my voice right now, when you make the next version of these drives, or whatever you do with your TLC, 3D, NAND flash memory, and you come out with M.2 PCI Express drives, please just make a black PCB. Please.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Just make the PCB black.
Yeah.
There's lots of us right now who have M.2 slots on our motherboards, and we're itching to use those.
Right.
And we're looking for drives that come out. But I mean, if you're looking at stuff like this one right here, which is a good drive. This is M6E from Plex Store. Solid drive. Hideous green PCB. And any PC builder who's got a window and like wants their computer to look reasonably good, they're not going to want that green.
Do you think you could spray paint it?
Yeah, probably. That'd be stupid.
That'd be a cool video. I'm going to do a video on it.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Sweet.
That's the end of my first segment.
Yeah. Come on. PCIe. I want some PCIe M.2 drives. God damn it.
I'm so happy, Kyle,
Why?
that we get to use your Swordfight.
So, I really thought long and hard about this graphic, this lower third graphic for Swordfight. I came up with a banana and popsicle because I really wanted to implement that innocent, tone and feel, that look and feel to the segment. Because it really is just a good fun time with popsicles and bananas popping around everywhere.
So,
clashing, bumping heads.
Swordfight, right, guys?
Go ahead.
What?
No. Take over.
What do you mean take over?
Take over the banana.
All right. Sorry, we're just eating a little bit.
So
Hold
good.
on. Hold on. All right.
All right, here we go.
It's time for Swordfight.
Oh, Stassi grenades.
What?
Stassi
grenades. All right, guys. So, hey, check this out. Evolve. Right? How many of you guys play Evolve?
I do.
Kyle does.
Strider does. Our mod does.
I know Strider does.
Heyo. Evolve crew. Hashtag.
So Evolve just today has announced new DLC. So you've got new hunters and a new monster.
For how much?
And don't worry for you Evolve haters out there. I'm going to be talking about both sides of this.
Okay.
All right. So they got a fancy video here that shows the new monster and everything. It's kind of cool.
If you're not familiar with Evolve, you can be a monster or you can be a hunter.
Yeah.
If you're a monster, you're going solo and you're fighting off 4 different hunters. If you're a hunter, you're a team of 4 and you get to kill the one monster. You have to try to kill the one monster. There's 4 different classes of hunter and there's 3 different monsters that you can play as. So this DLC is offering 1 new monster that the monster players can play as, and what is it? 4 additional?
4 new hunters.
4 new hunters, which is
one of each class.
One of each class. Okay. Double the number of. It's one of each class.
Yeah.
It's not 4 new classes.
No.
Okay. So you get one new hunter within
each
class.
There's a new assault. There's a new support. There's a new medic, and there's a new tracker.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything's just been added 1 character.
So
every subcategory has been added 1 character.
So they have an epic video here that shows some of the new stuff. The new monster looks pretty badass.
Is that it?
Behemoth. Yeah.
Wow.
It's the largest monster, and it will be the largest monster ever.
Wow.
And there's a big but right here.
I wonder. It's probably really slow, but really strong.
I've got to enter my date of birth.
Because Wraith, what they already have now, is probably as fast and as weak as it can get.
Yeah, the Wraith is very fast and very weak. So
squishy, I should say, squishy, not weak.
All right, so here's what we're going to be discussing, because this is a sword fight, right?
Yep.
We've almost completely
not
acknowledged that fact.
Sure,
and sword fight always involves a straw poll, which I need to copy.
Yep.
So you guys can provide your opinions as well. Now you're free to. That's not right at all. It's giving me some Google URL.
Googly eyes.
Hold on, let me open this so I can actually properly copy it.
I don't know how I feel about it, honestly.
All right, so what we're going to be using this to talk about is DLC in general. So I've just posted a straw poll in chat. because the negative side of this DLC, because it is DLC that Evolve has come out with and 4K Games has come out with, is that it costs money.
2K games.
Did I say 4K?
You said 4K.
They should upgrade to 4K if they want to be
get on the bandwagon,
really
guys.
on top of their game. All right, so here's the negative side of this, right? Wait, if I can. Oh, you know what? I completely skipped. I skipped a segment. It's all right. We'll come back to it.
Back to it.
All right, so the game Evolve, right when it launched, was $60, right?
Yep.
I'm not mistaken there.
$60,
which is a AAA title.
Yep.
That's a cost. Most people are accustomed to paying $50-$60 for a AAA title.
Yep.
This is DLC, and it costs money.
Yeah.
Now, there's various ways you could get this DLC. One is just buy it straight up right now. So if you're just buying it straight up right now, it's going to cost you $45.
Okay.
$750 for each new hunter, times 4 is at least $1,000.
Yeah.
That's $30 for that. And then the new monster is $15. That's $45. A lot of people would consider that to be the same amount that they would pay for an entire freaking game all by itself.
Yeah.
The other thing is that when Evolve came out, they said this right from the get-go, that we are planning to have this DLC available.
Yeah.
But what they did at the time was they did this thing called the Hunter Season Pass, which you could buy for $25.
Which is more or less the same as what you'd be paying if you didn't buy the Hunter Season Pass. Because I'm guessing the Hunter Season Pass just allows you all the DLC for free.
What the Hunter Season Pass got you was free skins, and I'm gonna push those aside as being useless because skins are useless unless you want to look fancy. But honestly, in the game, they're useless.
Yeah.
The useful things it got you was access to the 4 new hunters.
Right. And the monster?
No.
Oh.
So for $25 ahead of time, you could pay for the season pass, which got you some new skins, and now you immediately have access to these new 4 hunters. Now, on the plus side, just to give them credit where credit is due, they have come out with new maps, and I think there's 2 or maybe 3 new maps.
For everyone, for free.
And everyone gets those. So the cool thing about this is if you already play Evolve, then you can play on these new maps with people with the DLC, and you don't necessarily have to pay anything.
Right.
But if you bought the Hunter Season Pass and you buy the new monster, you're paying $40.
On top of the original price
price you paid
for the $60 game.
If you did not do any of that and you buy the 4 hunters straight up and the new monster, then that's an extra $45 that you're paying right now on top of the original cost of the game. That is over $100.
Yeah.
That's at least $100, if not over $100, to pay for this game. And there's another point I'm going to make, but we have 2 halves of this, so I want to do the first half first. So, the question that I linked in chat there was, do video game distributors have the right to charge for DLC? Because there's also a separation here. There's distributors, and there are actual video game creators. So 2K is the development company behind this. They're not the distributor necessarily of this game.
Yeah.
So they might not have as much say in how much is charged, or how the DLC is rolled out, or that sort of thing. So I do want to at least point that out, is that I don't know. I feel like a lot of the game developers who I've met are they keep a very purist approach. And like, I just want to make games that people have fun playing. Whereas the distributors are like, we need to make money off of this.
Right.
So
it is a business.
There might be a separation there, and I don't necessarily want to direct any animosity or negativity towards the developers of the game itself, because what I will say, and I think you can agree to this, is I've had a lot of fun playing Evolve.
Me too.
Yeah. I've had a lot of fun playing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We've done some multiplayer. We've done some streaming. It's a fun game.
For the $60 I paid for it, I feel like I've gotten my money's worth. Absolutely.
For at least the $60
For at least the $60.
Now, are you going to pay an extra $40 for all this DLC?
I might pay for the monster.
You might get the monster.
I might pay for the monster.
Because Kyle likes the monster.
I really love playing monster, and I see... Here's the thing. You play as a hunter, right? You play as medic or assault or support or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a new character in that is going to be more or less the same as any other character you've played within that class, because all the characters of a specific class have the one same ability. Like all the medics have the burst heal. right? All the assault has the shield. So there's already one move that all characters have in common. But the monster has something that's unique to itself on all fronts. And it has a different play style completely.
They can all smell.
They can all smell,
okay.
But that... Work with me here.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying, though, right? There's a little bit more diversity with a monster, and I don't know. It also could be... I mean, I'm clearly biased because I'm a monster player, primarily.
Yeah.
So I see more value in spending towards the monster. Now, does that mean I think DLC is okay and that people should have to pay for these extra amenities? No, I don't. But if you were asking me just the question you did, which was, would you pay for it? I'd probably pay for the monster. Yes, I'd pay the $15 because I am a huge fan of the game. This is literally the first game that I have actually played more than 20 hours.
You've played a lot.
I've played about 75 hours so far. It's the first game that I've played so much of in about 2 years. Okay. It's been 2 years since I played a game this much.
And I really like it. And I noticed that.
Really
I mean, when it's a game and you enjoy it and you have fun.
Right.
And that's one of the things about Evolve that I really like. So now, where I'm going a little bit different than the typical arrangement for our sword fight segment. So just because we're already running a little bit late and everything, so we're gonna move on to the next question. But I will say, I like when you find a game and it's got that certain element of uniqueness that I like the asymmetry that Evolve, put in there. And I think from a conceptual standpoint as well as from an execution standpoint, they did a really great job with the game. Yeah. Which is why I think it is sad and actually extremely sad to me that a lot of the response and a lot of the feedback and a lot of what I'm hearing, especially after the information that dropped today, seems to be going towards the other direction. Towards the direction of what? Evolve it took it too far on that DLC, on that gated content side to prevent it from getting enough widespread enough of a widespread player base to really catch hold. Yeah. And the second half of this, I have more information on that, but for now I want to do what we usually do, which is to take a look at our straw poll and see what you guys think.
Sure.
So again, the question here was, do video game distributors have the right to charge for DLC? Is that their right? Can they do that? DLC, downloadable content, is something that didn't exist 10 years ago. Yeah. At all. I mean, we're looking at a shift in the dynamic of the way games are developed as well as the way games are sold. And we also have a unique standpoint, I think, right now to vocalize and to tell the game manufacturer, or the people who are developing the games as well as the people who are distributing the games, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. So
second option I think is going to win.
Kyle's suggesting the second
oh wow,
option.
no one. No.
I gave you guys 3.
No, I should have liked to buy my video game once won. But barely. It was a very close. It was a very close. So we have this polarizing result where half of you really think, no, I should only have to buy a game once. No DLC should be permitted between, for any developer. And the other half of you kind of swayed the other way and said, yes, DLC's fine as long as it's reasonable. We understand, and there are certain exceptions that can be made. So that's really interesting. Only by 2 votes, 31 to 29. That's very close. Yeah, very close. And then 9 of you said yes, they can do whatever they want.
And I was actually kind of torn when I was developing the question, because obviously whenever I'm writing the answers to these questions, I'm kind of at least somewhat
aligning with one or the other,
or at least affecting what you guys are able to respond. Yeah. So the reason I did 1 no and 2 yeses is because I think no is pretty much no. Yeah. Whereas yes,
there's a maybe in there.
Reasonable.
Yeah, there's a maybe.
So here there's a clear indication from at least you guys watching the show that if it's reasonable, if it's just, I don't know how to explain it better than that, just reasonable.
Right, yeah.
And to me, when I looked at this coming out, I was like, $45? Yeah. For all that, or even $40 if I was like, I want to pay an extra $25 at lunch after I paid this.
$20,
yeah. So, and I've definitely seen people talking about this game in particular saying, look, I paid $60 for this game at launch. Yeah. I have X number of friends who all would love this game,
right?
But don't necessarily have $60 to pay for every AAA title that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
If you charge $30 for this game, you could have sold it to 6 of my friends and we'd still be playing it right now.
Right. Here's what I don't understand. The game sold for $60 frickin' dollars, right? Yeah. They're selling one monster, one playable character in the game for $15. That's 25%.
Yeah.
That's a quarter of the entire game. All the resources and all the bandwidth that went into that game, all the blood and sweat and passion that went into that game, one measly character of it is worth a quarter of that? That is not reasonable.
It seems like a really high premium.
It's not reasonable.
Strider's saying right now, $20? Sure.
For everything. Yeah.
And honestly, if all this was $20 right now, it would really seriously change my thought process on whether or not I wanted to continue playing this game.
Right.
Because then you also get into this divergent path at this point.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have the people who have bought the DLC and the people who don't. And the people who haven't, who continue to play the game, are going to start to see the DLC.
Right.
And if you didn't buy it right now and you're not planning to, you're going to start to be like, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I can't play this character.
Yeah.
I can't play this monster.
Or you'll be like shooting a monster and you'll be like, oh wow, this monster looks pretty crazy. Too bad I can't play as him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to spend $15 to do that because I feel like I've already spent enough on this game.
The fact that you're getting 5 new characters with the $45, if the game was $60, again, with $45 extra into DLC, I should be getting almost a completely new game. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like,
no, I completely do.
Like, give me some different game modes. Yeah. Give me a different, because eventually Evolve will get old no matter how many characters you bring into it, because you're still doing the same shit. You're still either hunting the monster or you're trying to kill the hunters, regardless of which character you're playing. So with $45 extra, I want to see new game modes that are better than the ones that they currently have offered, because we usually play the hunt game mode, which is, I think the most commonly played one, which is really fun, but you can only play so much of it before you're like, all right, what other options do they have? And the other options they have are pretty limited, I'll say. Like, they're not really compelling for long-lasting replayability. So for $45, like you said, it all goes back to, is DLC okay? I think yes, if it's reasonable. If you're really giving me, an appropriate amount of new content for the money I'm paying, then I'm cool with it.
Yoinker Man says Evolve is $70 in Canada.
Jesus.
Just for the base game.
So DLC must be $60.
All right, so let's move on to the
good sword fight.
We did show the results. All right, so here's question 2 for sword fight, which is, again, I'm just continuing with the Evolve DLC thing, which is, how do you guys actually want to buy games? So I just posted the link in chat if you guys want to click on that and show us your votes. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But I actually have an article here which indicates that Kyle is taking a pee break. Now, as you guys might already know, if you watch the show on a regular basis, whenever Kyle takes a pee break, we have a tradition. Actually, no, we don't. We need to develop a tradition for when Kyle takes a pee break. I've been kind of tossing some ideas around in my head, but I think maybe you guys could kind of help narrow them down or make them a bit more finite. My idea was that whenever he goes and pees, that he's obviously, losing some liquid, some hydration there, so that he would need to rehydrate. So whenever he comes back from peeing, he would need to pound the rest of his beer. Now, granted, that's going to change based on how much beer he has available and whether or not there's a little fly flying into it. Sorry, we won't tell him about that. But yeah, kind of similar to Kyle trying to think up punishments for me for not being able to beat him at the games that he clearly plays beforehand, and play the sound of running water during Kyle's segment. That would be a good option. Raise his chair up all the way. We can do that. That's easy enough. Maybe, possibly. How does this work? I found the missing carrot. Hey. His chair's busted. It doesn't work properly. This is my wife's chair, actually. Oh, wait, there we go. All right. All right, his chair is raised up all the way. He'll never suspect anything. And he seriously wasted like 4 or 5 carrots. So as we continue our discussion on the politics of the southern regions of Africa, moving forward, Kyle, what is your opinion on this particular subject? As Continue.
Well, how can I really say unless I've walked a mile in their shoes? What are we talking about?
Then you'll be a mile away and you'll have their shoes, right?
Are we still talking about DLC?
Yes.
I really had to drain the main vein there. It was bad.
That's quite alright.
I've never pissed that long in my life.
I
filled your toilet bowl.
It's come to be expected.
I had to flush halfway through the piss. It was really a lot of volume.
Wow.
So,
alright.
What should I be
talking
about?
What were we talking about?
Yeah, wasn't watching the stream in the bathroom. I mean, come on.
What's your favorite game that you've been playing right now, Kyle?
Honestly, I've only been playing Evolve and GoldenEye. We played a little bit of Counter-Strike Go the other day, but I'm terrible at that game.
Alright, enough. You'd be upset to know that Evolve is already dead.
Is it now?
According to this article.
Darwin's Doom. Evolve is already dead. Well, yeah, I think they kind of dug their own grave in some respect, because this DLC is just uncalled for.
So this is on Crave Online. This is by James Kazantis. And he's saying Evolve is already dead. Now, what he's basing this on is Saturday, 7:45 p.m.
Okay.
Which was, as far as I can tell from this article, this past Saturday, which I think was the 28th. Prime time for gamers, and he's on Steam. He said there's 500,000 people playing Dota 2, 500,000. Almost 200,000 are playing Counter-Strike Go. 22,000 are playing Payday 2. And 2,000 people are playing Evolve.
This is after
2,000.
or before the DLC is?
This is 3 days ago. This was before the DLC.
Okay.
But as we've already been discussing today, I mean, at least from the perspective of two people who have been playing Evolve pretty actively, and I think are pretty reasonable gamers as far as like how much money we spend, none of us are planning on getting the DLC.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to buy it at this point. So he's saying it's safe to say that any reviewer that asked the question, and a lot of reviewers, including us, asked this question, will anyone still be playing Evolve in a few months? Kind of like Titanfall. A very compelling, very interesting, very exciting multiplayer game, and yet does not seem to have the sustaining power, the long-term goodness. I'm sure there's adjectives that I could be using there.
The longevity.
The longevity to, create an established player base over a long period of time, which is, I know, what at least the distributors want.
Yeah.
They want a player base who's in for it for the long haul.
Oh, yeah.
So that when you launch this DLC that's $45 each, you have a bunch of people who are just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care much it
I'm in it
costs.
for the long run.
I love this game. I'm going to spend however much money it costs.
Yeah.
So this article seems to indicate, and it's hard to disagree with those types of just real-world numbers.
Yeah.
When you look at how many people are playing.
Especially if those are the numbers before the DLC was announced and the pricing.
Yeah.
Then what is it going to be next week? What is it going to be today? If it's 2,000 people, just 2,000 people on Twitch watching it.
You might have more people who jump in right now because of the new maps, because there are new maps.
Yeah, but eventually that's going to die off.
Eventually that's going to die off, and you're right. I completely agree with you.
Which is sad because this game had so much potential. Like they could have implemented so many different like game modes and whatnot for replayability, but I'm afraid that they're just so money hungry at this point.
Yeah, it seems like
they're going to have to charge you an arm and a leg to get to that. All
right, so point. here's the straw poll question.
How do you want to buy games?
And don't even look at the answers.
What?
Because there's 5 of them.
How do you want to buy
normally
games?
we argue an A and a B, but this is 5, and I just want to ask you straight up: how do you want to buy games?
Cash.
Just cash, straight up. You want it to be the situation where they say this game costs $40.
I want it to be digital.
And you pay $40 and then you get the game. That's insane.
That's what I like, though.
That is a crazy business model,
Don't
Kyle.
make me think I'm crazy
that
for
people
thinking
pay
that.
for something and then they get it.
No, that's what I want.
Stupid.
I want to just pay what is advertised and that be the end of it. I don't like DLC.
So let me postulate to you the other most viable answer, in my opinion, of the answers that I put in there, which is...
Postulate me now.
Okay, consider possibly the option of a game subscription service such as Netflix. Something like you have with that game.
We've talked about this.
We've talked about it before. And there's various options that are either out there right now or that being speculated upon.
Okay.
But let's say an option where you pay what to you would be a reasonable dollar amount per month, let's say 10 or 15 bucks. And then you get access to as many games as you want. You can play any of them, but you don't own the games. If you stop paying that subscription service, you don't get them anymore.
And how's the quality compared to a native gaming experience?
It's the same.
Same?
Yeah. Consider it like a Netflix service. You get the movie, you pay a monthly fee. You don't own that movie. You can watch the movie while you have access to the service. But if you cancel subscription to the service, you don't get it anymore.
So is the question, am I yay or nay for that, or am I...
I'm saying, how do you want to buy your video games? Because that's really the question that has been coming up a lot right now. And it's only in the past, I think, 5-10 years since the internet has made other ways of buying a game possible, that even this idea of DLC, paying more for a game after you've paid the outright price, has even become a viable possibility.
I think it's going to have to be something along the lines of both methods. So just the way I function right now, or the way I operate with movies or TV shows, for example, is, I might have like a paid cable subscription with Time Warner where I get cable TV. But there also might be, at the same time, I have a Netflix account where I can watch videos on the fly via streaming on Netflix.com. Connect my HDPC to my TV and stuff, and there I go. Similar thing with gaming. I'm always going to want that option to really buy any game I want. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if there was a streaming service that was kind of like a Netflix equivalent, but for gaming, that was $8-10 a month, then I might consider doing it, assuming that their game library was pretty reasonable.
Okay.
I don't see one absolute solution or the other. I don't think we're there yet either way. So I think having a combination of both might be your best option.
So having, let's say, a paid service like GameFly or Grid, for example, which is another one that they're coming out with that they're trying to push. Having a paid subscription for something like that would let you sample as many games as you wanted.
Yeah.
But then you also want the ability to say, I like this game, I want to own it permanently, I want to pay 40 or 50 or 60 bucks to own it, depending on the quality of the game and the depth and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I would absolutely want that.
And yeah, I would agree. Having the flexibility to do whatever you want is obviously what all of us most want.
Yeah.
But it seems like what we're being pushed towards is
the streaming.
The streaming services. Yeah, I mean, a monthly fee is like the pinnacle for a company. To have a bunch of people paying a monthly fee for your service,
right?
And you just need to keep rolling that service out and keep making that monthly fee every month.
Payment that never
dies. That's what everyone wants. Yeah. But personally, I'm more towards the look, here's what I want. I want to pay for that one time and get it.
Yeah. Pay per game.
Yeah. I'd rather pay per game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a light streaming service that's available, for a
maybe
smaller dollar amount
sure.
that lets you test games or try games or something like that. That might be something that'd be viable for me.
Yeah.
But the whole monthly subscription but then if I stop paying I don't get it anymore. It's less viable to me than actually buying.
I would agree. Right. I would have to agree with that.
All right, but let's see what you guys think. Wow. I love these straw polls. I'm kind of curious. All right. So most of you, in fact, 80% of you, have answered that you just want to pay outright. I want to pay my money, $5, $50.
Yeah.
Whatever it costs. I mean, I think that is one thing that I think games get right a lot of the time is how much to charge for the game.
Yeah.
I've played some $5 games where I'm like, wow, this is really worth the money.
Yeah.
And I paid some $40, $50 games where I was like, wow, this was really worth the money. It was a good experience,
exactly.
That kind of thing. I put some pirating options in there.
You're also a you introduced a bit of guilt into some of your answers too.
I did.
Like, I feel like some people might be less swayed to vote for option 2 because you add at the end, because I'm not a good person.
Well, I put 2 pirating options because honestly, I think when you pirate games, you're
you put a second option.
Of a couple different minds. You're either saying I'm pirating games and whatever, I don't care, like I'm a pirate.
Yeah,
I'll own up to it, or I'm pirating games because this is like I don't really do any of that.
So this just shows
right now,
we have many more self-deprecating.
I'm not going to say I never have in the past,
viewers.
but at times in the past when I have delved into that shady underworld, it's been more for the idea of like, well, I didn't have the money to buy it anyway, and blah blah. Anyway,
yeah.
so that's what.
What's
that's
number
why
4 say? I like paying reasonable monthly subscriptions for lots of games, even if I don't end up owning
that was
any
the
of them.
one that I thought was another viable option, but only 2 people chose that, a monthly subscription. I think monthly subscriptions for games might be possible. But it's got to be reasonable.
Like you said, like the only reason I said, yeah, that's something I would go for is because under the stipulation that you had offered that it would be the same quality, on par with the same quality that I see on my desktop PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's at least for the time being, especially when it comes to stuff like latency. Like especially if you're talking about a stream service or the game's being run on a server, like grid, that's something that they're really trying to work with. But for a lot of games, that's not as much of a concern. All right, we skipped a segment of mine.
Let's go back.
And we're gonna come back to it.
All right.
Right now.
By the way, we are at about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we're going so long right now. It's
Thank you guys for sticking with us.
Thanks everyone who's still watching. All right, this is Tales from Space.
All right.
.com. I'm gonna take this icon off of the screen because Kyle set that up, and I'm worried that's copywritten. That's not a problem at all.
Sabotage.
All right. Let's run through these really quickly, guys, since we've already spent a lot of time today. But the first one is actually not from space.com. This is from BBC.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
When I changed the name of the segment to just Tales from Space. I made that graphic assuming all these articles would be from space.com.
Excuse me.
Right?
When I searched for space news earlier, this was the first thing that came up, and I thought it was fascinating. So ants, right?
Yep.
In space.
So ants, right?
Ants in space can apparently deal really well with zero gravity.
Huh.
Fascinating. So this was ants that were carried to the ISS, the International Space Station. They were dealing with what is typical ant behavior, which is what is known as they do something called like searching. They search and explore. They're like a recon team, right?
The ants?
Yeah, the ants are.
Okay.
So the ants move out and they do this collective searching thing that they do to kind of explore the territory, like find where a food source is, and that's how they set up everything. They were actually able to do this in zero gravity, which is absolutely fascinating to me. The other fascinating thing is just that they, for all the stuff that they might be doing on the International Space Station, studying ants in zero gravity doesn't seem to be quite the most practical thing to me. Look at this fancy rig they have set up even to monitor everything that's going on.
Wow, they got a nicer camera than ours.
Wow, that's a really nice camera that you're recording those ants with.
So, do they fly around? Like, do the ants fly around in space?
No, they're the ants. So they do have zero gravity, so the ants do drift and float. Okay. They have to deal with the effects of zero gravity, which is that if they're not grabbing onto whatever surface, they will float away. All right, so practical applications, right?
Let's hear it.
Why are they doing this? They want to learn from the ants' cooperative methods and develop search algorithms for groups of robots.
Search algorithms?
Yes.
Expand.
Well, what they're looking at is a biological solution for a problem, which is many autonomous individual brains kind of going out, finding information, and then communicating it back to the hive so that they can accomplish a task. Okay. So they're saying they're trying to learn from these like millennia of like evolutionary developments with ants for doing this in the most efficient way possible. Learn that from them so that they can program robots to do the same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So my questions that come after reading this article, first off, was what other insects should we also put into space along with the ants to study their movements? What other insects do you think would be cool?
I think those Chinese flying beetles would be pretty fun.
I was thinking fig beetles could be kind of cool.
Something that flies.
Those are like June bugs, because June bugs, at least around here, June bugs are those little. They're kind of like, maybe like peanut sized.
Okay.
And they're kind of red orangish
color. I hate them.
Why do you hate them?
They look nasty.
They're completely harmless.
But they look disgusting.
And they're stupid. They're stupid as hell.
That's another reason to hate them.
They just fly into the light and everything. So that's why I think June bugs would be fascinating.
They're reckless. They're like drunk drivers.
Yeah, they're very similar to that. The other question that I derived from reading this article was, clearly they're working on the development of an army of robot space ants. So what are we do to defend ourselves from the army of robot space ants that will clearly be overtaking the world and toppling our government, taking control very soon? What can we do?
This article has taken a turn.
What can we do to defend ourselves from the robot space ants?
Robot space praying mantises.
I think you've got something.
I'm onto something there.
So, conclusion here: need to send some praying mantises up to the space station. So we can have a competing research program going on to develop robot space praying mantises to fight the robot space ants. Makes perfect sense.
Sold.
All right, moving right along.
All right.
He pressing the wrong button.
Did you know?
Did you know?
Did I know what?
Did you know that you can watch a HD view? HD, by the way, means 720. A live streaming view of Earth from space captured by the high definition camera on the ISS.
Yes, I did, but tell me about it.
Were you aware of that? You did know that?
I did.
I'm going to jump this up to 720.
But I still want to hear about it.
It was live earlier. Oh, no, that's full screen. That's terrible. It was live earlier, and I was like, I'm going to play this on the screen. It's going to be fascinating.
I thought this has been up for a while now.
I think it must be nighttime. That's all I can assume.
Wow, the Earth looks really dark from space.
The Earth is just, wow.
It's a black hole.
I'm glad that they're investing in this technology.
I think ASUS exploded.
All right. So this is on Ustream. There's more people watching this than are watching our live stream. Although we have we've given them a 25% boost by streaming this on our live stream. And it's streaming nothing right now. It is completely black. All right. Well, I thought this was going to be interesting, but clearly it's not.
It was working earlier.
It was. Earlier we were watching it, and I was going to be like, look, we can see our house is fantastic. Had a joke all planned. All right, never mind.
Not anymore. Moving on.
Moving on. I'm fascinated with these space.com information on actually finding extraterrestrial life. So looking into that category, we have icy moon discoveries and what they mean for life on other planets. So
icy moon.
We have 2 planets recently that have some potential for harboring extraterrestrial life. Saturn's moon Enceladus, which sounds like salad in Spanish, right?
Yeah,
Ensalada. Enceladus. So there's hot springs on there. That's kind of cool. And then what was the other one? Jupiter has this big old moon called Ganymede, which has a subsurface ocean that might have more water in the subsurface ocean on Ganymede than all of the water on Earth.
Really?
So they need to make a big tube from Ganymede down to Earth, and then it would flood the entire Earth.
That's not.
That wouldn't be very practical, but
I don't think so.
After coming to the end of this article and theorizing about the possibility of life on other planets, specifically when it comes to within our own solar system, what I actually read towards the end of the articles was actually, never mind, none of these are actually really very viable for harboring life. It's just one of those articles that was like, hey, there's some water here, and maybe there could be life.
Too bad we can't do anything
about it. In a really outlying situation, possibly. Anyway.
It's all sci-fi fantasy.
We're moving through this segment quickly. All right, so I have one more bit on the talesfromspace.com.
All right, what is it?
So there's a lot of speculation on what planets might harbor life, extraterrestrial planets outside of Earth.
Okay.
So have you ever heard of a rotisserie planet?
It sounds mighty tasty, but no.
It does. It sounds delicious.
I'm in the mood for chicken now.
So rotisserie planets are planets that that have a different axis. So like the axis of Earth, is it's not really vertical. It's offset by like 20 some degrees, like that. But it rotates around that axis, right?
Yeah.
So there's also planets that rotate like this.
Okay.
They're like
rotisserie.
Instead of yeah.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
So instead of like going around a planet like like we do with a different side of the planet, like facing it every 12 hours or whatever. It spins like a rotisserie, so there's one side of the planet that's always exposed to the sun or whatever it is.
Well, so is it always exposed to the sun if it's still orbiting?
It depends. It depends on the axis.
Oh, okay.
There's lots of different axes. So why does that facilitate life? So if these alien planets, which rotate sideways like a pig on a spit, are covered in oceans, they could have a mild spring-like climate all year, at least in a part of the planet.
Okay.
Right. So here's an example. We have high obliquity and low obliquity.
Okay.
Am I pronouncing obliquity correctly?
Obliquity. You have to be.
Obliquity.
There's no other way to pronounce that.
Yeah. So you can see the one on the top is high obliquity because the axis is like the stick that goes into the lollipop is coming out the side. That's the idea. Yeah. But yeah, I guess what it comes down to is that rotisserie planets could host alien life if they're wet enough, but they have to have mostly liquid in them.
So is this true because the way a rotisserie chicken works, where you're actually since the axis is completely horizontal, you're crisping each side of it evenly over time. Is that why you get a consistent spring climate?
Yes,
because it's even.
Life needs to be cooked to a nice even golden brown.
We are just on a spit in space, folks.
I'm just curious, these rotisserie planets for some reason remind me of the planet that Jar Jar Binks came from.
I don't remember that one.
But I think what we really need to do is establish a survey to find all of these rotisserie planets and then destroy them to prevent the possibility of there being a Jar Jar Binks like race.
Because he was really annoying.
Yeah, he was annoying as hell. That would suck.
And
the other obvious question that comes up here is how do you like your planets cooked? If they're on a rotisserie.
Medium rare.
Anyway.
Sweet.
So endeth Tales from Space. Did I even do the... No, I did do that. Yeah.
And our last
Tales from Space is fascinating. Our last segment here, and we're going to make this fairly quick, or maybe, who knows, is Q&A. So if you guys have asked us questions, we've theoretically been kind of looking at those.
Yes, go ahead and ask us in the chat, in the Twitch chat, or on Twitter. I have a lot of tweets that I've received since the beginning of the stream.
Do you
now?
now?
Go check to see.
I had some that I had some that I favorited.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm trying to figure out how I can look at just my favorites. Apparently, you can't do that.
Go ahead and ask us any questions you guys might have, tech or personal or news related, whatever it is. We don't care. We'll answer whatever we can.
Somebody asked, is 4/1/1980 my birthday, and is my birthday tomorrow, and if so, happy birthday? No. My birthday is not on April 1st. I'll just leave it at that. But thank you, though. Thank you for the happy birthday. I appreciate that.
Ryan, nice keyboard. Do you prefer mechanical keyboard with, or like Corsair, Razer, or without software? If it's an RGB keyboard, I want software. Obviously.
Clearly.
If it's not an RGB keyboard, I don't want software. I just want it to work. The only time I justify a mechanical keyboard having software is if it's RGB. Otherwise, it should just work without me having to download a separate program.
So like this one.
Yeah, like the Quickfire Rapid Eye. Works perfectly fine without software. This is what I want. But if I'm going to get RGB functionality...
This is connected to our streaming system, Kyle. Don't be mentioned.
delete. But if I'm going to get RGB functionality, yes, obviously, give me software.
That's the CM Storm Rapid Eye, by the way, with the Cherry MX Browns, which is for 10. I like 10 keyless. Oh my gosh, this keyboard's fantastic.
Favorite color combo?
What's
your favorite color combo?
I don't know. All right, so Fail Blocks asked, Paul, after doing hardline water cooling, would you say it's worth all the extra work? Yes. I will say yes, but that's only if you've gotten yourself past that that roadblock of cost. Because really, I feel like when it comes to PC, like building your own computers and enthusiast building, you come to a certain point where you've built the systems and you've done everything you can, and then you get to a point where like, what more can I do? How can I improve this anymore? And it's like, oh, water cooling. And then you're like, oh, but like I'm going to need to spend a significant amount of money on that. If you can get yourself past that and you're like that into computers that the water cooling is good for you, I had a ton of fun with the hardline stuff. I really enjoyed it, especially after trying it out a few times. It's not as hard as it looks. It's just kind of a trial and error thing. You just kind of need to go for it and try it out a few times. So yeah, I'd say for sure. It's a lot of fun, and the systems that you can set up with it are really like, I really like looking at the hardline water cooling builds because, I don't know, it's just, maybe I've gotten elitist now since I've done it. I look at anytime I look at a build now and it's water cooling, I'm like, that's a sweet water cooling build. Oh, they use flexible tubing. I guess it's okay.
But I kind of like the flexible tubing. I like both.
Yeah, I mean, they both have their place.
But I feel like a computer, I don't know, I could see it going both ways. I feel like the flexible tubing makes it look a bit more organic.
Yeah.
Like it's living.
D Carpenter 85 asks, I'm looking to build a new system soon. Should I go with X99 Haswell E or wait for Skylake K? That's a really good question. If you're building now, or if you're building within the next, say, 2-3 months, Haswell E is a really good way to go. I actually don't expect Intel to launch another enthusiast platform like Skylake K for at least another year plus. Like, that's not usually what they've done. Usually their enthusiast line, like Haswell E, has like more like a 3-year lifespan before they come out with something new. They might, if they launch new CPUs on the same socket, then that might be something. But then that would be something you could upgrade to, like with X99.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love recommending the enthusiast platform on Intel if you have the money to afford it, one, and if you're gonna be actually using it, two, which means you're not just gaming, you're actually using it for video editing, or you're doing AutoCAD, or you're doing 3D modeling, or you're doing, intense CPU calculation type stuff, like something that you're actually making use of it. If you're just doing a gaming system, then a Z97 is great, and or even AMD actually has a lot of much more reasonably priced solutions for you.
Yeah. All right. Question from Zachary Prentice: 2 780 Ti's, 2 970s, or an R9 295X2?
Ooh. Do you have any of those already?
That's the question. If you had nothing, I'd go with an R9 295X2.
Yeah. That's sure. Just the simplest and easiest. Wait, what were the other options? 2
780 Ti's or 2 970s.
Yeah, I'd say R9 295X2 first, because that's going to give you the best performance.
And cooling, yeah.
The 2 970s would be second, because you'll also get really good performance out of those, and you'll get better NVIDIA power efficiency.
Yeah.
780 Ti's, if you already have them, stick with them. They're cool. They're really, really good, but it's not something I would invest in right now.
It's not current gen,
yeah.
What are your favorite beverages, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic? Ooh, well, out of alcoholic, I would say beer by far is my favorite above wine and liquor. And if you're trying to get more specific, I would say IPAs and stouts are my top 2 favorites. IPAs and stouts, by far.
I like stouts. I don't like IPAs.
Oh,
I do like beer though.
I feel sorry for you.
I like pretty much all beers. For some reason IPAs I don't sit well with me usually. There's some that I like. Okay.
Pliny the Elder you like?
Pliny the Elder I definitely liked. But generally speaking, IPAs are on the lower end of my preference. IPAs and Hefeweizen are the 2 beer varieties that I'm not a big fan of. However, most other beers I'm totally love. The ones I've been enjoying recently, this one was damn good. This little 6 glass right here.
Like it.
Been enjoying that. This is the first time I've had that, by the way. Ale Smith's Nut Brown is one that I've enjoyed a lot recently, or Rogue. Rogue has quite a few varieties that I really appreciate. They're Arrogant Bastard, actually. I have one of those in there.
Yeah.
That I haven't drank yet.
As far as non-alcoholic goes, I like milk.
Okay.
Milk's cool.
Milk's good.
I really do like milk. Sometimes there's nothing better than a glass of cold milk.
Non-alcoholic, I don't really do soda much at all anymore. I've actually acquired a taste for iced tea, like unsweetened iced tea, which is good if you want something and you don't just want water, and you want something that's not like terrible for you with a bunch of sugar in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. Any news about the new 390X? This is from Bruno Ornelas Guerra.
Nothing.
No, we have no information about the 390X. Our most recent information says it's going to launch with Computex, which is in June, beginning of June.
Someone asked, why is there no intro? Because
intro.
Give us some time.
Yeah, we've been since we've been doing this this live show, we've been like every week we're like, hey, we're gonna make it better next week, and we try to. We hope we've done a little bit of that today by going with a new streaming software and adding a little bit.
And the lower thirds.
But it's like a little bit at a time, like very tiny steps, because both of us, I feel like, I mean, I can speak for myself, but I go most of the week thinking about my own videos, and then Tuesday comes around, I'm like, Tuesday, I'm gonna do stuff.
Oh, shit, I was supposed to do a bunch of shit earlier this week.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah.
So
it's a slowly progressing animal.
We might be interested in fan submitted artwork or that sort of thing that we could use for like our lower thirds or that sort of thing. I mean, we have a lot of ideas. It's just kind of a slow rollout of them as time goes by.
Yeah.
So.
Hunted Rabbit asked, what video editing software for beginners do you recommend? Adobe Premiere Pro. I think it's a great software for beginners.
For beginners?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, beginners. Beginners. Okay, Microsoft Movie Maker, sure, if you're really going that route. But if you actually want to be able to do shit and not have your software crash on you every 5 minutes with 1080p video, then go with Adobe Premiere Pro. I mean, Vegas, I've heard really good things about too. I never tried it personally, but I've heard good things about it, so I'm sure you're safe with that as well. Something like Avid is a little bit more industry standard, and it's a lot more complex than something like Premiere. It is just as powerful, if not more so, than Premiere Pro, but it's usually even more functionality. It offers more functionality than even I need to take advantage of. So something like Avid is just a little bit excessive for me, and it's also really expensive. So if you can get Premiere Pro, it's a good software to use.
For me, like, it would greatly depend on what you want to do with it. If you're looking for something where you're like, look, I already have a full-time job, I do YouTube videos on the side, I'm just looking for something simple that lets me kind of like chop my videos together and publish them, then I would go for something simpler like Windows Movie Maker or Adobe Premiere Elements as another. Because I mean, you can get editing.
Never
suites.
use Movie Maker.
You don't like Movie Maker?
Ever.
No, I haven't really used it, but my father-in-law uses it.
If you had used it once in your life,
then I would hate it.
You would never recommend it.
I've never used any of these, so I'm probably a bad recommender. But I know there's less expensive video editing suites that you can get. There's even a free one that I can't remember the name of right now. That's a really good. That's a really good option for Adobe Premiere, but I can't remember the name of it right now.
Yeah, it's called Crack Adobe Premiere CS6.
No. There's a website that says, like, here's the whole Adobe suite, and here's free software that you can use to replace every single element of it. But
that seems like a lot of work.
If you're looking to possibly branch this out into a career, and you want to learn more industry standards, then definitely get into one of the, I think is the top three right now, which would be either Adobe Premiere or Adobe Master Collection, that whole suite, which includes Adobe Premiere and After Effects and all those, Photoshop and all that good stuff. Yep. That's the one that we use, so we're probably most familiar with it. Avid is an industry standard when it comes to like higher level, like serious industry stuff. That's also Windows based. Or Final Cut on the Apple side is kind of the standard over there. I've heard not as positive stuff about it in the past 3, 4, 5 years than I did prior to that.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't speak much to the Apple side of things, but I would say, at least on the PC side, Adobe Premiere Pro and Avid are the ones that you would want to learn if you're looking at like building into a career or like going to other people and saying, hey, let me edit your videos for you or something like that, because being able to use the software that the industry uses is really, really important. And if you go there and say, hey, I'm an editor and I've used some lesser known program that isn't one of the more industry standard ones, and people be like, what are you talking about?
Sure.
Okay.
Someone asked, what's daddingly filling? Ultra wide versus multiple monitors.
What's daddingly filling it?
That's his name.
What?
Ultra wide versus multiple monitors. So, if you're talking about gaming, I personally prefer ultra wide. I don't like having multiple monitors. I think you can get the same or near the same experience with an ultra wide without having to sit so far back from the monitors or having the monitors so far back away from you. I think maybe it's attributed to me having a smaller than average desk in my personal home, where multiple monitors is just impractical for me to have. Having something like a single monitor solution that's 21 by 9 or something like that is a lot more feasible for me. And you still get that super widescreen effect without having like the bezel on both sides to kind of interrupt your vision. So that's my personal opinion. Productivity wise, multiple monitors is a viable. I think it's a great option. Mm-hmm. I use 2 monitors personally. Obviously, I'm not gaming on them, but for when I'm editing, it's great to have one monitor dedicated to Premiere Pro CS6 and another one for all my windows and assets, web browser if I ever need it. It's just absolutely essential. I would much rather prefer multiple monitor solution over a widescreen solution for productivity, but for gaming, I'd have to lean towards ultra wide. It just depends on what you're doing.
I mean, if you can simplify your situation for gaming, like with an ultra wide, which is one monitor versus multiple monitors, that's always a good thing. So yeah, I'd agree with Kyle. Productivity, multiple monitors is awesome. I would go with at least 2, if not 3. If you're talking about gaming, 3 monitors is a viable solution. Especially, I think right now, if you're talking about like 3 1080 monitors, you can get that for fairly reasonable price, and you're not going to be talking about a huge requirements as far as GPU processing power goes. But you're going to deal with more compatibility issues when you're dealing with multiple monitors and that sort of thing. So for that reason, if you're strictly talking about gaming, I'd say an ultra wide would be a good option if you like that wraparound experience.
Yeah.
But I think we should probably cut it. We should probably cut things off.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness! Thank you guys so much for watching today's show.
Yeah.
The Awesome Hardware.
It has been pretty awesome.
The Awesome Hardware live thing that we do every Tuesdays on twitch.tv/awesomehardware.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think this has been like one of the most technical issue-free episodes we've had in quite a while. We'll be uploading these to
our respective YouTube channels
tomorrow. So if you guys want to watch the re-uploads, or if you missed part of it, you can do that.
That's right.
In the meantime, though, hit the like buttons. Share with all of your friends.
The multiple like buttons.
Watch Kyle's YouTube stuff on all the like buttons. Hit all the like buttons. Watch Kyle's stuff on youtube.com/awesomesaucenetwork. You can watch my stuff on youtube.com/paulshardware. I told you we were going to get sloppy towards the end of this show.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So we've had a fantastic time tonight.
See you guys next week.
Hope you come back again next week.
And the after party.
Oh yeah, after party. You got to go home first, right?
Yeah, I got to go home, scarf something down to eat really quick. But we will be playing some games later tonight. Whether it's Evolve or old school GoldenEye Source, we're gonna have some good fun. Yes. So if you guys want to stick around for that later tonight, we'll be playing some games.
If you want to watch us play games, that's on twitch.tv/awesomesaucenetwork, as well as twitch.tv/paulshardware. Yep. And we'll be jumping on those later tonight if you want to join us. So thanks again, everyone, and have a fantastic evening.
Good night.
We'll see you later.
Goodbye.
Wait, I missed.